What is up, people of the internet? Welcome back to another episode of the Waveform podcast. We're your hosts. I'm Marques.
I'm Andrew.
And I'm David.
This week, we have a couple new pieces of tech. I'm going to call it the battle of the smallest hardware updates. We have the HomePod 2, and we have the Samsung Galaxy S23 series. We also have some maybe quick lightning round stuff, but also then Adam has a game for us called Over or Underhyped. I think that's the title. Seems pretty
Working
sick.
title, but
Working
we'll stick
title.
with that.
We'll stick with that for now. But first, let's get into the gadgets, because we do have some new reviews and we have some new pieces of hardware that we've evaluated and to talk about. I think we'll start with the HomePod 2, because that feels like the easiest, potentially quickest. We'll find out. We'll see. I mean, there are some feelings about HomePod 2 that we might have to address, but the HomePod second generation is out. And I called it sort of the most confusing product just because the first HomePod comes out back in 2018, I think it was. $350 smart speaker, feat of engineering, sounds wonderful, just does Siri things. They dropped the price after a while. It's not selling very well, and then they eventually discontinue it. The Mini, $99, lives on. It's much more reasonable for most people. So they bring this HomePod 2 back, and there are some small changes, but I'm just wondering why. Because, I mean, why discontinue a product and then bring it back? That's my main thesis behind it, because it's so similar. I'll go over the actual official differences if anyone's interested. Number one, slightly new color. Midnight for the darker one. The light color is still the same. Two, the top display is now larger and it's inset a little bit. So there's that. Cool. The cable is now removable. So remember how the first HomePod had a non-removable cable, and that was kind of weird. Now that's like designed to be removed. It actually comes in the box detached, so you plug it in yourself. If you need, in a pinch, you can use any other just cable that just plugs in. So if your cable breaks, you can go get the cable replaced, but still have a working HomePod in the meantime. Kind of cool. It has 2 less tweeters, 2 less microphones, and it still kind of stains wooden tables, just not as fast. So,
and it was only the white version, right?
That's the only one I've gotten to actually stain a table. So the old HomePod had this base where it's like, if you have the right material wood, which is like, I guess, a porous wood that's not sealed very well, and you put the old HomePod on it, within 2 minutes,
it's crazy.
You have a solid white ring on the table, which is like, this happens with this material. But because of the design, it's like all of the weight was around that ring. So Apple redesigns it a little bit. It's a flat bottom now, which is maybe a little bit worse acoustically, or maybe it vibrates a little bit more. But now you've at least spread out the weight across the bottom. But it's the same material. And so after a day or two, it will also start to stain, unfortunately.
Which sounds longer, but in the like life expectancy and placement of a HomePod, 2 days is very short. So like a HomePod will probably stay somewhere for, I mean, months, if not years at a time.
Yeah, you just sort of put it down. I haven't moved my home smart speaker in over a year. Yeah. So those are all the sort of newest things. I mean, there are a bunch of other smaller features. We talked about Matter support last time. It has a Thread radio in the new HomePod, so it can be your hub. It does have a temperature and humidity sensor. Some observations around some of the other reviews point to it maybe not being the most accurate in the world, but at least you can calibrate to how inaccurate it is. Like it might be a little warmer than your room typically is, but that's fine. It's the new HomePod. Any thoughts on like why it's back? I kind of had some YouTube comments that brought up some things that I didn't find.
Oh,
the number one, I'll just say the number one that I found the most compelling is that the original HomePod came out during the chip shortage. This new HomePod has less overall raw materials, so it's obviously not during a chip shortage the same way it was a couple years ago, and it's also less tweeters and less microphones. And because it's now at $300 instead of $350, it's potentially a little bit easier to manufacture and make profits because of the less raw materials. And so they're just trying again. It's not going to pop off. It's almost the same product as the one they discontinued for not being a reasonable thing to keep producing, but it's another try.
That's the main thing that I saw too in terms of comments was chip shortage stuff.
Yeah.
I think that Apple thought that the market was just not mature enough when they first released it. Like, I think that that's their excuse. I don't know if I don't think that's going to work for them. Most people buy the smaller smart speakers / hubs. You know, the Google Nest Hub Max like barely sold any units, and the larger Echoes I think sell better, but still not nearly as well. It's always like Google Nest Hub Mini, Echo Dot, what is the Apple one called again?
Just
HomePod Mini. Yeah, like those sell like crazy. And a $300 one, especially when there's no Spotify support on it, which, as we learned, is not technically Apple's fault anymore because they took the PR route and like allowed Spotify to get on it, but Spotify is like boycotting them, so they're not going to do it. But I mean, we just saw a headline a couple days ago that Spotify had it has its most users of all time, and it's by far the most used music streaming service now. They have over 200 million users, I think. I think it's gonna not do well for the same reason that it didn't do well in the first place.
Maybe not bad enough to discontinue this time, because Apple doesn't discontinue things very often. There are a lot of things that I think I look at Apple's lineup and I know that that's not selling very well.
Yeah,
but it still exists at full price in the lineup. Like AirPods Max might be an example where there's a good amount of them out there. I think people eventually bought a good amount of AirPods Max, but the current Intel Mac Pro, how many people are buying the current Intel Mac Pro? I hope it's not very many.
Yeah.
But they're still selling it, still on the site. They're still making them. It's not discontinued. So like when I saw that the original HomePod was discontinued, it's like, wow, they really had to make a call here. They were like, we're not going to even make these anymore. So
yeah. I have another theory though. There was not a lot of HomeKit stuff out for like a very long time. And now that Matter is coming out and you're going to be able to use like any smart home device with HomeKit, it basically opens up Apple's home ecosystem like to a huge extent. So prior, it was like you were only really buying a HomePod if you wanted a smart speaker that was very limited to the Apple ecosystem that could only really use Apple Music. And that was very limiting.
Extremely.
But now that you can use it as like an actual smart home hub kind of situation, and it can be used with basically anything that you buy that's Matter enabled, I think that they're probably maybe projecting into the future a couple of years and just being like, if we want to compete, the number one, if people that have iPhones are going to like want to just be able to like use the Apple thing with their smart home hub. So,
yeah. I
mean, if you use Apple Music and then you can buy Matter enabled products, it kind of makes sense if you're willing to blow the money. But beyond that, I don't really see a huge...
Every single word that you said is true. But it's also true about the Mini.
Yeah.
Yes, which is way cheaper.
I do think some people are willing to spend the extra money for like the main room. Like I would be willing, like maybe. I have a regular, the old Google Home that was $120 in my living room versus the Minis, which I can like hide in little corners of my kitchen or the bathroom or the bedroom or something like that. So like if you are using it and you do listen to a lot of music in there or something like that, like for one room, maybe. It's crazy that the Mini is still $99 though.
It's 3 times cheaper.
Pretty expensive. Yeah. The Mini is actually still kind of expensive. $99 is,
it's totally expensive.
All the Google Home Minis are like what, $30?
It is, but it's way better sound, and it's also got a thread radio in it.
It is, yeah.
So
I guess I'm just trying to figure out the reason to get the HomePod over the Mini right now, the new HomePod, and it's like
there's not
this
a lot
one
of reasons.
Sounds way better.
Yeah, it's louder.
So take the fraction of people who want it. I mean, yeah, louder. True. I mean, there's some fraction of people who are like, the HomePod Mini is not good enough sounding or loud enough for me. Those people should spend the money. And then that's kind of it.
They may be trying to creep up into Sonos's market share, because when you go into like high quality large speakers, Sonos eats smart speakers. Sonos eats everyone else's dust.
That is very true. Yeah. Sonos. So I have a Sonos setup. And this did seem strikingly similar to a Sonos experience for me.
Whoa.
Weirdly.
Did you hear that alliteration you just
strikingly
did?
Similar to a Sonos.
It seems strikingly similar to a Sonos experience.
Seems strikingly similar to Sonos. But no, because Siri and, oh boy, here we go.
Oh boy.
It has a little bit of a differentiator, but like with Sonos, you can just like use it with Google Assistant, and there are things that you can do, and it's a smart speaker. But if you have an Apple TV and with eARC, you can use a pair of HomePods as your hi-fi speaker setup if you want. No sub, but it is what it is. And they'll sound pretty good. It's Dolby Atmos surround sound support, and that's cool. And plus the benefit of being a smart home controller and all this other stuff that the Sonos doesn't do very well.
Yeah.
So if this like Sonos market is big enough, you could consider it also sort of stepping in that territory. That's a little bit more market share.
Yeah, because there aren't really any competitors to Sonos in smart speaker space.
Can you play Spotify on Sonos?
Yes.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. It comes down to Siri being kind of tough.
I mean, in terms of market share, though, I think there was a really interesting stat you posted in the video that I just want to I want to just pose this to the audience and see. You listed the market share of HomePods in smart speaker
at its peak
in the US, right? At peak.
In the US, yeah.
So before I say, or I'm going to say the number, and then if you're listening, I just want you to think do you think that's high or low? Because I'm interested to see where
it would have been
go.
It would have been a really fun multiple choice.
I wish it could be a multiple choice beforehand, but leave it in the comments or something. But it's 6%. Yeah. So when you guys heard that, what did you first think?
I think that's high.
It sounded high.
Okay, that's me too. I was like, that's high. I think I guessed 2%. Or something when you asked me.
That's all smart speakers at its peak?
Smart speakers in the US market share of the big HomePod.
Yeah, that seems really high.
That seems incredibly high.
Considering like Google hides Nest Hub Minis like under your doormat.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't really know how they managed to get that much market share.
Yeah.
But so then compare that now to US market share of iPhones, which is over 50%.
Yeah.
That is insane how we're thinking 6% is high for the Apple related smartphone smart speaker that generally you like to be in an ecosystem, right? We talk about Apple ecosystem.
Yeah, but it's so expensive for a smart speaker.
It's so expensive.
I'm just saying, and that's what's something is wrong here where their market share is so little when they have the head start of the ecosystem market share already.
Yes, but the iPhone sitting across the room from you when you yell at it is the exact same experience as the HomePod. Like you can just yell at Siri and have it do anything you want other than multiple timers.
I mean, you can do that on like a Pixel as well.
Right. So that's why I'm like, is the iPhone's dominance in the US actually going to translate to selling smart speakers? And I feel like it's not as strong of a tie. Maybe if it's headphones or other things where it's like these work best with the iPhone. So if you have an iPhone, you want to get these. Like AirPods rode that train for sure. But smart speaker like the HomePod doesn't really add any value no matter what phone you use, I guess. I mean, it's worse if you don't have an iPhone, but it's like...
It's terrible if it's like unusable.
It doesn't work at all. It's not a Bluetooth speaker at all. Yeah. So I guess if I see... I'm trying to think of the list of things that HomePod offers that an iPhone user doesn't already have. It's the sound quality, it's the potential hi-fi setup, and it's multiple timers.
Couldn't you say the same about like a Pixel and Google Home though? Your Pixel can activate all the things
Yeah, the bigger one, I guess I have the one with the screen, so I picture like that being super value added, like seeing who's on the doorbell, seeing, all the list of the buttons and lights you can turn on and all that stuff. That's nice, but most people don't even have that either, so it's true.
I think it's pretty much
which assistant's better.
It's an extremity of like your phone if you're walking around your house, you can still do anything you're still asking from your phone. Yeah. I think it's crazy that, and I would argue that Apple doesn't want to look at it that way. Apple does want to look at, this is our market share of everything else. We want that to help increase the sales of our general like home smart solutions, including smart speaker.
Not good.
It's because Siri sucks.
Yeah. That's what it comes down to.
Can I throw one thing in here?
Yeah.
Okay, so I can't find 2022 stats. I can only find 2021 stats. I hope that doesn't make a huge difference. But we talked about old AirPod market share being 6%. Do you want to guess what the Sonos?
Oh, HomePod.
You mean HomePod?
Oh, HomePod, yeah.
HomePod was 6%.
What did I say?
You said
AirPod.
Nice.
Yeah. So HomePod was 6%, and we're guessing Sonos market share of what?
Of home smart speakers in the U.S. specifically.
I'm going to guess 4%.
Home smart speakers. So this is the same market as before.
Yeah, so this includes Alexa. It includes
Google
Home.
Or Nest Home, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. It's putting
3 to 4%.
8%.
That's high.
I'm going
I'd say 2.
Damn. All right. Well, I thought everyone here was going to be like 15 to 20%.
No.
No, it's 9%.
Oh, it's 9?
Oh.
Yeah. So
Okay.
If I were Apple, I'd be sad that I'm under Sonos.
Yeah.
That's pretty damn good.
That's
for not
really
being
good.
Like
That's
a
way
major
more than I
Sonos?
thought.
tech
Yeah,
company.
it's popular
you
for
just
its
said
niche.
that no one compares to them.
Well, for in the large
so niche,
smart
though.
speaker space. In the large smart speaker space.
which is a tiny niche.
When you say
Yes,
large, do you
yeah.
mean like a
Physical
physically
size.
large?
Physically
speaker?
large.
physically large, yeah.
Yeah.
Because like
okay.
all their smart speakers are pretty big and like have
Right.
really insane sound, whereas like the Google Nest Hub Mini is very tiny, doesn't have a lot of sound.
yeah.
Okay.
Echo Dot.
When you said large, I thought you were talking about how they can have these really large like mesh networks set up.
Oh.
Because like that,
No.
that to me has always been like the whole selling point of Sonos. Like if you have a mansion, you can control the sound in like 20 different rooms.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. I mean physically large.
All right. Well, I'll just.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
quit
still
that.
interesting.
Still a
I
good
did not
stat.
think at 9%.
That would be a
for
good
Sonos.
that would be a good
And
trivia
I think that's
question.
crazy that arguably the biggest tech company in the U.S.
I wish that
is
was a
not even
trivia
breaking that
question.
market share.
Well, the best company in the
in
world.
2021.
Well, they did their thing.
Although I will say, like, was that HomePod just big HomePod?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Okay, because Sonos had a lot of
probably right.
products, and just big HomePod hitting 6% is still pretty
single
high.
product,
yeah,
yeah.
as a single product, it's still pretty high.
It seems so. Like if I did a multiple choice and I wanted to ask myself before I knew the answer, I would say, what do you think Big HomePod peaked at? 0.5%, 1%,
I'd say like 3 is what I'd say.
6%, or 12%? And I'd be
Yeah.
like 0.5% for sure, maybe 1% at best. So it's 6% is high.
Yeah.
That's high. All right. Now we have this oldest video on YouTube thing. in the notes.
I have one more thing. Did
Okay.
you see this?
No.
Did you see this?
What?
The new oldest YouTube video on YouTube?
Wait, I
I
thought it was
heard-
fake.
That's what I was gonna. That's what I'm gonna. This is a PSA to everyone out there who saw it. But I thought it was kind of.
I heard about
interesting.
this.
Damn it.
Yeah.
We're supposed to all know that Me at the Zoo is the first YouTube video. That's
Yes.
You at the zoo?
Me at the Zoo.
Marques at the zoo?
Who's on first? Yeah, no, that's the first. That's the
Yes,
first
I,
video.
I think like that's a good piece of history to know
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
this. I'm going to explain this very quickly, but last week there was a tweet going around that there was a new oldest video on YouTube that got discovered, and it was just called "Welcome to YouTube!" exclamation exclamation. It was just a picture of YouTube, like the YouTube logo, I think. And on it, it said the upload date was. This is on YouTube's page, April 5th, 2005. Little trivia here, though. Do you guys remember when Me at the Zoo was uploaded?
I know it was 2005.
April 6, 2005.
No.
It's 2005. I don't know what day. Sometime. Well, okay. April 5th is the supposed hoax video.
So April 25th, 2005.
Oh.
is Me
What
at the
is, who do
Zoo.
you think you are asking trivia questions on my show?
We have so
Well,
many trivia questions.
also-
Was it?
April 23rd, 2005.
Oh.
Was it really?
Okay.
I thought it was the 25th because that's my
Misinformation. So
there's-
apparently what happened in this whole thing when people were looking at it is underneath the video it said live comments are disabled for this premiere. So I guess somehow the person found some sort of bug where they could go in, create an old YouTube video on an old YouTube account and like schedule it to 2005 somehow.
Yeah, say
and then
premiered in
it
2005.
came out in 2005 and
That's funny. That's
I think it's kind of fun.
I do think it's funny that everyone was like, we discovered the new
Like, it
oldest
never got
YouTube video.
seen.
It's like archaeology. Like,
yeah. we unearthed it. Yeah.
and we aged it and we found its age.
we carbon dated it.
yeah.
You say age, but they made it look like an old video. They
that's
they
funny.
made it just look like a crappy
I think
animation
that's-
or something.
That's well earned.
Yeah.
They should leave it.
The only thing that I saw that gave it away is that the upload date of the video predates the creation date of the channel.
Yeah, the channel was like
A few months after.
which is crazy because that's
Yeah.
still a very old channel.
No,
which
the person who did it was like, oh, I have this 2005 YouTube channel.
or they found someone who has a really old.
This totally jogged my memory. I found out my friend's dad is a 2006 YouTuber.
Wow.
And has all these videos up online of
Like
him
a
just
prolific, like big time one?
not big time.
I
don't-
would say I might
think
know him.
He hasn't. No, he's like he put out maybe 100 videos and then stopped, and it's all things of him in 2005. Like I'm on the freeway.
That's
don't
awesome.
have anything to say. Like
That was one of my first videos,
That's
actually.
funny.
Yeah, it was a LG Voyager video test, and I needed a fast-moving subject, so I pointed it out the window of the car at freeway speeds, and it's probably
While you
like
were a passenger?
30-second video. Well, yeah, I
You were
couldn't
not
drive.
old enough
I was
to
too
drive
young
at
to
that
drive.
point.
Yeah.
That would be awesome if you were also driving
pointed it out the window.
at 14.
I thought this was going to be one of those bugs where, I don't know if you've ever had this, where you'll take a photo and then you go to look at it in your gallery and it's gone, and you scroll all the way to the back and it's like, it's at the very top of your gallery at like 1969.
Yeah,
You're like,
it's
why? Has that ever happened to
Its
you?
metadata get all messed up. Yeah, I've had that
Sometimes
happen.
I'll take a photo and it just goes, oh, this happened before the phone existed.
Yeah.
Interesting.
For some reason. I thought that's what this was going to be. But this is an interesting story. I think that person should get credit for at least tricking some people.
Yeah,
that's hilarious.
It's kind of cool that like if they find out a bug, they actually went through the effort of making it believable and not just posting like a Mr. Beast video and saying that it was the oldest video in existence.
And just to wrap it up, though, YouTube says they've found the issue and fixed it already. So there will be no other ones of that. We can all YouTube said, just so you know, Me at the Zoo will forever be the first video ever on YouTube.
Perfect.
So
good trivia.
don't
fact.
be tricked.
I can't schedule a premiere live stream of my own birth for 1993. Can't do it anymore. YouTube fixed it. Well, we're going to head to an ad break in a second. But of course, as we typically do as tradition on this show, we will have a trivia question with the answer at the end
Of the podcast.
Yeah, end of the podcast. So, all right. So, new HomePod just dropped. Hope you copped.
No.
Or not. I don't care. It has the S7 chip inside.
Sure does.
The original HomePod Mini that came out in 2020 had the S5 chip inside. Super powerful chip. According to Apple, how many times per second does the HomePod Mini EQ itself in real time?
Apple would quote some crazy high
Yep.
numbers for that. I analyze the room I'm in 1,000 times every second, and if a pillow on your couch moves, I will change the EQ settings to match.
Accurate.
That's a random guess.
I really wanted to guess, but then I looked at the answer, so now.
You can guess for me.
It's going to be a crazy number. Well, while we're all thinking about that, let's take a quick break. Support for today's show comes from Shopify. So the holidays are over, which means no more jingle bells, big red bows, or mall Santas for a whole year. But one thing that's not going away anytime soon, this sound. That sound marks another sale on Shopify, the all-in-one commerce platform that can help you start, run, and grow your business. So Shopify makes it simple to sell to anyone from anywhere. So whether your thing is vintage teas or vegan cookies, Shopify makes all things commerce simple for business owners. Create an online store that captures your vibe, welcomes new customer base, and cultivates loyal followers. And their platform has all the sales channels you need to keep your business growing, from an in-person POS system to all-in-one e-commerce platform. And they can even help your business thrive across social media platforms like TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram. And thanks to 24/7 support, Shopify has your back every step of the way. So sign up for a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/waveform, all lowercase. So go to shopify.com/waveform to take your business to the next level today. Shopify.com/waveform. All right, welcome back. Let's talk Samsung Galaxy S23, Samsung Galaxy S23 Plus, and Samsung Galaxy S23 Ultra. It's actually pretty easy to talk about them because they are pretty similar to the S22s. This actually reminds me of, I'm trying to remember which iPhone review it was, where it's such a small update. It might have been the 13 or the 12, but it's an update in the couple of things that are most important on a phone, which is it has better cameras, it has a better chip, and it has better batteries. That's a good set of small things. If you're going to do a small update, good things to do, right? So S23 and S23 Plus are the same sizes of the small, flat 1080p displays, 6.1 and 6.6 inches. Phantom black, cream, green, and lavender. I do not like these colors.
I like the green.
Just going to be honest here. I don't think they're very good.
I like the green.
It's kind of a military green. That's the one you're...
I dig
Cream
it.
and lavender are just so like safe.
Yeah, I don't know about the pastels.
It's been a thing for like 4 or 5 years where they just go pastels and they go, you can get neutral or near neutral. How do you feel about those colors?
Or black.
Like, all right, fine, I'll take black.
It's like a neutral black too. It's like a gray. It's
Yeah.
like a dark gray.
It is what it is. But they all have new camera sensors across the board. So a 50 megapixel main sensor. I took a bunch of sample photos on these that when I was doing my impressions video and just sort of like clicking around, seeing how it felt. And they did look really good. And this is like a super subjective 2-hour experience that we had, but they're claiming 4 times more dynamic range and improved processing. So I want to see how those look when we get them out in the real world. Larger batteries on both, 3900 and 4700. Those are both 200 milliamp hours bigger than last year. So when you combine that with the Snapdragon 8 Gen 2, which appears to be much more efficient, I feel like that's a solid, small couple things to upgrade on a phone.
Meaningful,
super safe.
yeah.
Fine. S23 Ultra has sort of along the same lines, Snapdragon 8 Gen 2, a big, bright 1440p display. A couple things that they did with this phone are it has these really flat sides now that I love. It's a subtle thing, but it's the shape of the phone when you hold it in your hand. It's much more square and boxy like the Note used to be. I like that a lot. And the camera sensor upgrades are also all here. It's a 200 megapixel main sensor. So it's going to be some serious binning, 16 pixels into one to get a 12.5 megapixel shot. Still a 5,000 milliamp hour battery, still an S Pen in the side, still 120 hertz, still 6.8 inches, still up to a terabyte. New selfie cameras on all these phones, and they look about the same. Same colors.
It looks about the same.
Look about the
looks
same.
about the same.
So the price tags are also looking about the same: $799, $999, $1199. Do you need to upgrade if you have an S21 or S22? I don't think so. S21 Ultra, I would still be happy using that phone today. If you have an older phone or a different phone, this is probably the move. Now, they did this thing also, we just finished watching the keynote that I did not like as much, which is they're also selling the S22 for $699, and I don't think that that's a good deal. I don't think you should buy the S22 right now for $699, considering there's other phones in the pipeline for that price. You can get a Pixel 7 today for $599. I don't think that that's the phone you should get for that money.
I don't know, like, I can't confirm this because I don't have, like, it, but I guarantee you the S22 has been sold for cheaper than $699 at some point in the last year.
Oh, yeah.
Like, Samsung does some crazy deals.
Yeah.
It definitely has been cheaper than
Prime
that.
Day, Black Friday.
I'm
it goes on sale all
I'm
the time.
sure, or like a 2-for-1 deal or
Yeah.
something like that. Like,
It's on Amazon right now for $439.
is it refurbished? Wait, is that like refurbished?
Refurbished.
Oh, that's
Okay.
refurbished.
If
But
you want to get a brand new one, it'll still be expensive, but like,
I know. I bet you could buy brand new ones for cheaper than that at some point. Probably
At a carrier
directly
store or
from
something.
Samsung.
Yeah. I'd rather get an S21 Ultra than an S22 right now.
I think the S21 Ultra is one of the best holding up phones. I mean, we could talk about software updates and how long that's going to get software updates. These are going to get 5 years of security updates, 4 years of One UI software updates. So if you do get an older phone now, you'll sacrifice some of that. But aside from that, yeah, great cameras, great screen, great battery. That phone's really good. So, it's a minor update across the board. This is kind of what we were expecting with Samsung. My title for the impressions video was cruise control. Because, okay, I really like Dave 2D's video on this. He did like a 3-minute video on it, but he did bring up, you played Valorant, right?
Yes.
Something I didn't know about Valorant was when you play a bunch of different, you play a bunch of rounds in a row with a team or whatever. Correct me if I'm wrong in any of this.
I haven't heard this analogy, so I'm very excited.
Well, you
for
play
it.
a bunch of different rounds. You might take one round and play it as an eco round, where you're just going to play and try to spend as little as possible and just get through it so that you can make bigger upgrades to your arsenal or whatever you're fighting with the next time around. And I've always thought this about video games. Like, I've never articulated this thought, but I feel like there's two types of video game players. Like in 2K, if you're playing My Career, you can buy new VC and improve your player every once in a while.
Okay.
And the two types of players are player one, upgrades as much as he possibly can every time, which is just a small bump every time. Or player two, which is me, which is play as long as you possibly can with your current player until it's basically unplayable, and then use all of your money on all of your upgrades, and you're a god.
Also me.
Yeah.
Yeah, same here.
That's the move, right?
I think I hate to go on a gaming rant here,
Okay.
but I need to like change that analogy a little bit. The way you're doing it feels closer to like an MMO where you're just like, I'm not going to use my skill points until I can't kill a creature anymore.
Exactly.
Valorant is like super round based. So essentially whether you win or lose a round, you get money. And that round, if you died, you start off with like no guns essentially. So every round you have to buy guns and armor. And it's like it's first to win 13 rounds, and this is Counter-Strike as well. They're all like economy-based games.
Right.
Where so like if you lose a round, it's better to just be like, this next round is going to be a wash.
Yeah.
It's better for me to be
Not
able to
spend.
actually have my guns the next round, and then you either don't spend anything or you spend to a point where you can buy the next round.
Right.
So it's like,
I like both
it's a
analogies.
little different.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess my connection back to smartphones is I think this is Samsung going, we want to spend as little as possible on R&D this time, and then maybe the bigger upgrade is next time. So like the bare minimum they could do is just throw the new chip in there and literally ship the same phone with the new chip, right? So they did a couple extra things, new camera sensors, some tweaking. They still have all those people on hire. They're working on the cameras. It's a little better this year, but like this isn't a big change. We're working on some other changes. That'll come later. So here we are.
They did it. They won last round,
Yeah.
2022.
Yeah,
and now
they won Best Big
they're
Phone.
just going to use the same guns going into this round, and then maybe buy an op next round.
So that's
You
exactly
understand
how it
that.
flows.
Yeah, exactly.
There it is. Works for me.
Gaming.
Sorry.
That might just be the review.
What's up, gamers?
Honestly, now that we're talking about this, I kind of feel like I need to jack Dave's thing and
You
talk
gotta play
about
some
video
Valorant.
games.
You
I need
gotta
to talk
play
about
some
video
Valorant.
games. Well, I mean, it applies to 2K pretty heavily, or like any game with skill upgrades that you can just go
Fair.
as long as you can without upgrading your skill. So shout out to Dave 2D. Dave, when you see my video that has video game talks in it, you'll know that I was inspired by you.
I want to play Valorant with Dave now.
That's probably the move. It's probably really fun. That seems like about it for Samsung. Oh, one more thing. This might not even be new. I got to check the old phone. 8K video at 30 FPS, not just 24. I think that might have been in last year's phone too, but I'm just happy it's
think
not
they
just
had that.
24.
I want to say, isn't 4K 60 front-facing camera new this year?
Yeah, you got new sensors across the board. They were doing this crazy binning of like a 40 megapixel selfie camera on the Ultra. Now it's just like a 12 megapixel front camera across the board, but it will do 4K 60. It is a 12 megapixel, so it can support that, which is cool. I mean, I think the cameras are the thing that I need to test to find out the most about whether or not that upgrade is meaningful, because you got to really put it in a bunch of different scenarios. But like, I expect Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 to be really good because I've used other phones with Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 and they're really good. So here we are, new year Samsung stuff, S23.
I do want to say I think that a $200 leap from the regular one to the bigger one is kind of a lot. And I know they've always done that, and it's pretty much always been a $200 leap, but it seems like a lot. Like just to get a bigger screen and a slightly larger battery,
That's what you get.
like $200 is
You also
a
get
pretty significant chunk of.
Higher base storage, which
Yeah,
is
true. That's a good
kind
point.
of
That's a good point.
for some people. I did a poll on Twitter of like, this is what I was thinking about. What's their minimum base storage for a phone? Just buying a new phone today, and about half the people said 128. And there was a drop off after that, but yeah, you do get 128 on the S23.
Yeah.
but you get 256
Yeah,
base
okay.
on the S23 Plus.
So that's really not that much then.
Yeah.
Okay.
So for people who want that, that's available. I will be testing these phones. We'll be reviewing these phones. Stay tuned for the reviews. They'll be coming out. at
Also,
some point.
the Ultra is even more boxy than last year, right?
Very boxy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's like a Note.
I really like it.
It kind of just looks like the Note.
That's what I've always wanted. Yeah, that's exactly what I've been hoping for.
Yeah.
I love the Note. It's the Note without the word Note in the
Yeah,
name.
just the Note.
It's great.
It's just kind of funny to me because the Note had such a intensely loyal fan following, and then they just kind of got rid of it, and now they made the Note again, but it even has the S Pen. You know, it's like,
Was the Note slightly more expensive even?
yeah, I think it was like $12.99 or something.
So they kind of shoehorned it into the S lineup so more people are able to try it.
Maybe they just had too many devices because they've got the A line, they've got the.
When has that ever stopped Samsung though?
Yeah,
They started messing up the Note though. Remember they were adding like different versions of the Note that then got like
Oh, the
it used to
cheap
always
notes,
be
yeah.
like the flagship versions, but then the Note
Yeah.
20 had
The
that
Note
like
20,
weird
like the
one.
plastic
the
one.
Note 20. Yeah, the plastic one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which yeah, that was also a shame. But there's one more thing from the Unpacked event that I liked. That's really boring, but I actually thought was a really good idea. The maintenance mode. Do you remember what that was from the
That little section. Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty much
Explain.
like you can turn your phone into maintenance mode when you're going to be giving your phone to like a carrier or somebody working on it to try and fix something for you, and it essentially locks all your personal stuff like photos, contacts, text messages. So I mean, we've heard these horror stories of putting your phone in to get fixed and then people are like distributing pictures or looking through your photo albums or stuff.
Yeah.
It's just like this one little step of security that you add a pin to, and now all of your stuff is safe and somebody can fix it without being a creep, which
Yeah.
is nice to know.
As someone that worked Best Buy Mobile for many years, that
looked
is
at
a
people's stuff?
genius idea. It just like people will give you their stuff and like be like, oh, there's something wrong with my gallery app. Look, and just show you all their pictures. And like I've seen some stuff, and it's like I didn't need to see.
That sounds
any
like
of
their
this.
fault. This is more
No,
to
yeah,
stop
it's
the
like, but I'm
True.
appreciative of that
Yeah,
as
yeah.
the employee. Like I don't want to see that either.
Yeah.
Please do not let me see that. Yeah. Yeah. In the app, they were like, or in the presentation, they were like, you can hide sensitive apps, like banking apps. And I was like, we know what you mean. You can just say it. So yeah, it'll
I
show up as
only
like a
bank.
fresh phone with no apps, basically, which is good.
and just the apps that are like
Or whatever apps you
default on the
choose.
phone, like settings and stuff like that.
I
So
mean,
that they-
even if you're just like letting a stranger borrow your phone to like make a phone call or something, I feel like that's a good
there
idea.
are honestly points in this like in our environment right here where we're probably shooting the phone where if you're testing the S23, maybe you should probably put it in maintenance mode just so like all of your text messages aren't coming in, but you're also mostly the one shooting stuff. But
Yeah. Let's go airplane mode.
airplane mode, true.
Do not disturb, something like that. Either way, it's good. I mean, we'll find out if it's really good, but it looks like it's a pretty solid update from Samsung. So check out the impressions video if you haven't already. That'll be up. And I think that's it for Samsung.
Wait, can I say one more thing?
Yes, go for it.
This is funny, just because Hiroshi just responded to me on Twitter, and I want to the whole Unpacked event. He was wearing a watch that I couldn't figure out. It was I was like, that looks like a Watch 5 Pro, except, well, first I said that's not a Pixel watch.
It's definitely too big.
He's Android, so whatever. He's at a Samsung event. I understand wearing a Samsung watch. It looked like a Watch 5 Pro, but it was silver. But as far as I know, they don't make that. Can someone I've looked multiple times. I cannot find a silver Watch 5 Pro.
He gave it titanium silver.
So
Is what he said.
that's what he said. There's a picture of him at the event, and I just responded and tagged him underneath, and he somehow saw it, and I was like, "Is that a silver Watch 5 Pro?" And he said, "Yep, it's a Watch 5 Pro in gray titanium." But as far as I know, that doesn't exist.
Yeah, I don't see.
Did he leak?
There's
there
is a gray
No,
titanium.
yeah, I see it.
there's a gray titanium.
Yeah.
Kill all of this. I'm an idiot.
I'm leaving it in.
Is that really? It looks good.
Oh, I was just scrolling on Twitter too, and I just got to a hot take from Sarah Dici that I fully agree with. I'm just going to read it. You see if people agree with it too. Zoom lenses feel like they're for work, and prime lenses feel like they're for fun. Every time you shoot video and you look at like video tips on how to improve your video, they always go, shoot prime, they'll always be sharper. And then I go, okay, yeah, shoot prime. It'll always look better and be sharper. And then I shoot prime for like one video project, and I get so annoyed with switching lenses that I go back to the zoom, because for actual work where you're changing focal lengths all the time and you're doing constant stuff with the cameras, it's nothing beats a good zoom. Yeah. But for fun, I'll throw on a prime, shoot some stuff real quick.
Too focused on like what you're doing for fun.
Interesting.
I'm like looking at. I want to go on vacation this summer, and I want to go to the Tetons because there's a bunch of wildlife there. And I'm looking at this Sony 300 to 600 millimeter lens, but I'm not gonna bring up prime lenses to try and shoot wildlife.
I guess trying to shoot wildlife is one thing. I think if you're like you're a photographer for fun and you're like, oh, it's going to be a nice sunset tonight, I'm going to go out with my 16 mil and get some big dramatic cityscapes or something. That's like for fun, you know?
Yeah, I'm not saying it's not for fun, but I feel like there are fun scenarios where like having the variability of a zoom lens is probably pretty useful.
Zoom lenses for life. I'm on team zoom lenses for sure.
As some people would say,
you should ratio Sarah.
Use your feet to zoom.
Dang. Well, true up to a point.
With wildlife photography, you're actually not supposed to.
You can only zoom out far enough.
Also, I immediately imagined putting your feet on the lens, and I did not understand what you were talking about. So you should definitely not do that for wildlife photography. Oh, look, a grizzly bear. Let me just walk closer.
I'm going to use my 11 millimeter grizzly bear.
OpenAI announces ChatGPT Plus for $20 a month.
Yeah.
For those who want to talk to AI and don't want to wait for faster responses, I might be in. I use it a lot. I mean, it's down all the time, but I might be in.
I think they're artificially putting it down. Not going to lie.
Oh, interesting.
Oh.
Wow. That might be, I don't know.
Because it's down
sketchy.
all the time.
It really is.
And it only started going down all the time like a week ago, and then they mysteriously released this like pro version that's never down.
And got bought by Microsoft.
Yeah.
I mean, it does feel like this company with billions of dollars should be able to keep this chatbot up all the time.
Well, especially since they're using Azure.
Right. And they can just scale that. But I don't know enough.
You want to think about that?
Microsoft, is Azure notoriously good or bad?
Yeah, just being like, no, they're using Microsoft services. They should never go down.
Yeah, but it's scalable. It's like AWS.
Theoretically, it should be
the more traffic
reliable.
it gets, the more it'll spin up.
Yeah.
More hardware.
But OpenAI's chatbot always seems to be down.
Yeah.
And I find myself trying to use it all the time. And now that I look back and we're just at the beginning of February and I look back at how many times I tried to use it in January, I would have paid $20 for all of those to have been like uninterrupted. So maybe if I keep using it at this rate, I will be in.
This is where we very quickly start to get into the weird copyright stuff that we haven't yet had to deal with, because like when
they're charging for
now they're
crawling the
data.
internet.
Yeah, because previously it was just that like open sourced foundation that was like just giving it away, and now they're charging.
That's a really good point. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, Dolly, I think, is a worse problem because it's art that's scraped from the internet, whereas this is just words, and words are just words.
Yeah.
You're creating heat maps based on
Tell that to singer-songwriters.
frequency.
Songwriters get all the money.
gets Taylor
No,
Swift in the room. She'll shut it all down.
I feel like singer-songwriters don't get all the money. Isn't that like the big problem with the music industry?
If you wrote the song, you get like 50%. The singer gets like 7%
Yeah,
or
the
something
singer-
crazy. But if you're the writer, you get a lot of money.
If I didn't have to do any work and I could just sing a song, I'd probably be fine with 7%.
Some would argue it's a lot of work.
To sing a song?
The singers would argue that.
I could do it right now.
Yeah, but then
Whopper, 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 Whopper.
7% for you, but I wrote that song, so I should get banked.
Yeah, I mean, I'd give you 50% if you wrote the Whopper song.
We've never needed a trivia question more.
I hope the guy who wrote this song is getting paid.
There it is.
Did you write that, Ellis?
No.
Wait, who did write that?
Who wrote that?
Someone who submits music to Epidemic Sound.
Nice.
So they are probably getting paid.
They are getting
yeah.
paid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A typical LCD screen has a white backlight. What color is the backlight on a QLED display?
all right, welcome back. So this is a new segment that I'm bringing. Title is under construction, but for now, I'm thinking we're calling it Over Under Hyped, right?
Over or under hyped.
Over or underhyped, overhyped or underhyped. Let us know in the comments which one you think works better. If we even keep this, I don't know, maybe we never do this again because it bombs.
Hyped
But
or wiped?
the way this works is I'm going...
That's not bad.
That isn't bad.
not
Okay.
bad.
I'm going to say something. It has to do with tech. Wait, let me double check. Yeah, they all have to do with tech.
Thank you.
Love that.
They all, except one that I'm deleting now. So they all have to do with tech.
Goji berries.
I'm going to say something, has to do with tech. You guys have to tell me if it's overhyped or underhyped. I will give you each one perfectly hyped.
I like that.
You get one perfectly hyped. So it's like, it's not over, it's not under, I don't know. Or if it's like offensive, it's like, I'm just going to say perfectly hyped
It's
and
hyped.
steer clear of this one.
Okay.
All right. Number one, coming in hot. Johnny Ive.
Current Johnny Ive?
No, just like in general.
Because it's like naming an NBA player and saying, are they over or under hyped? It's like, well, their career or their current status.
Yeah.
So current Johnny Ive to me is overhyped.
Would a clown nose have anything to do with this?
Yes. We just saw this headline of
Yeah. He designed.
Luckily, there was no price tag. I was equating it to
okay.
Supreme.
It's for charity.
It was for charity
Before you
too,
guys
yeah.
Okay, good.
tool on this too hard.
I appreciate that, but there was like a headline of like Johnny Ive designed a clown nose, and it's like, why is this even an article? I don't know. It's cool, but like whatever. Yeah, I'd say current. But I mean, we did see a long history of his career designing things at Apple, which had some really good products, and then they slowly descended into minimal madness, and some might argue he ruined the MacBook Pro. So like, I think it's safe to say Johnny Ive overhyped.
Probably agree with. Oh, it's so weird because like in our community, we all know who Johnny Ive is and talk about him all the time. But like if you mention Johnny Ive to like if you mention Johnny Ive to your parents, they're not gonna have any idea who you're talking about.
So we are
So it is
talking about
kind of-
current Johnny Ive, right? Because
That's how I define
He
it.
designed that like iMac G3 with the colorful iMac G3. He designed the iPod, the iPhone, the Apple
I mean,
Watch.
he's got a great portfolio.
Like the resume is crazy.
The resume goes hard, but current,
Yeah, he did wreck the MacBook Pro for sure.
yeah.
There was a point in which the form
He needed Apple Silicon
transcended
to
the
make
function.
his vision come to life.
Did he make the Magic Mouse?
Oh, that's pivotal.
he did make the hockey puck.
Yeah, I
mouse.
just saw that on your
I think
screen.
he
so
designed. I
thought-
think all Apple mice are notoriously like
terrible.
minimal and bad.
Yeah, they're all bad.
So I would say his mice probably aren't the
doesn't
best
look like
addition,
he did the Magic Mouse.
but he might have done some other terrible.
Maybe
things.
he needs to go to veterinary
He has
school.
one. Yes,
I'm sticking with over.
Yeah,
I'm probably gonna go over. Although
I would say over.
He's a
Yeah.
great speaker, though.
Malcolm Owen Magic Mouse 2.
Aluminium.
Well, that guy.
Wow, way to
hope
put
it-
him on blast.
Sorry, yeah, fucking catching strays over here.
He
Also-
deserves it for that.
Ellis thought that it was Johnny Ives.
Oh no,
With an
just
S at the
Ive.
end.
Ivy.
Nice minimal name too.
Your battery life.
Johnny
is low.
without the H. He's the ultimate minimalist, isn't he?
Truly.
Super
But
minimal.
not Johnny Ive account on Twitter.
That's a quality account. It's fun.
Chef's Kiss. Fantastic account.
All right, I think we're all.
Please
did you
remove your headset.
did you also over?
I would say over, yeah.
All right, unanimous over.
It's over.
Oh,
Yeah.
Number 2, foldable Pixel phone.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to say foldables in general, and I was going to be torn. Foldable Pixel doesn't exist yet.
We get one hyped.
No, you get
Appropriately
one.
hyped.
You get
perfectly
one
hyped.
appropriately hyped, but that's bold because we don't even know what it looks
Exactly.
like yet.
It's
we
kind
don't
of hard.
we don't know much about it, but we kind of have this
Overhyped.
leading. Interesting, but your parents don't know because you were just saying no. Your parents don't know about Johnny Ive. Your parents probably wouldn't know about a foldable Pixel rumor either, right?
Definitely not.
My parents definitely don't.
I think the
yeah, I guess
scale of those is
I'm gonna
different, though.
just like put
Fair.
this in the in our tech community right now.
Okay.
It feels just like we're just talking about the folding Pixel because it's the new Pixel that folds, and we wanted to talk about the new every company that folds, and Pixel's up next.
And they
it's
might-
overhyped, and I don't think it's.
If the folding Pixel drops, they hypothetically will have beaten Apple to the foldables product category too, which
just
will
like
be a
everybody.
Listen,
Yeah.
I'm
Everybody
excited for it, but I think it's overhyped.
Yeah.
It's going to be their first gen foldable too, which has just not done well for anybody yet.
I'm going to use my one single appropriately hyped.
Interesting.
You're using it this early?
That's
We're on question
early.
2.
That is early.
I have like
I like the
13 more
confidence.
lines.
I like
We
it.
have like 50 of these.
I'm gonna go. Regret. I fundamentally I will not be able to correctly answer until it comes out. But since we're answering now, I'll say overhyped.
All right. Next question.
Yeah.
This one's a little whimsy. Standing desks. Overhyped, underhyped, or perfectly hyped?
Get myself in trouble.
Overhyped. Sorry, overhyped. Because like when I use it, it's like, but I never use it.
I was going to say, I can't remember the last time I saw you standing at your desk.
Yeah. Thanks.
That's a good point.
Thanks for calling me out.
Marquez, every hour, 10 minutes before the hour, will
No.
just mysteriously rise.
No, this is what Marquez does. His desk rises, but he doesn't rise. He
Every
just
time
does
his
the-
Apple Watch gives him a notification.
I stand
Time
up.
to stand.
There is a beautiful 7 seconds where you're posed like the Thriller music video.
Do you know, this made me think they should have a sit stand desk. Oh, that's a good question though. Are we talking about sit stand or are we just talking about standing?
I'll do sit stand, both.
Okay.
Like
Sit
what we
stand-
have.
Sit stands are incredible. They should have one that you can set like it will stand during your work hour X amount of days and or X amount of hours in a day.
There are some that
Therefore,
will
it kind of
just force
forces
you
you
to stand
yeah.
up. Yeah.
Because like I love to stand, but like I'm lazy and a lot of times I sit. And if I try to stand more often, I think they're great though.
I also love to stand.
I just
Did I, s-
I
I
don't.
need to stand.
Yeah.
I love to sit. I don't know. What's happening. I should use mine more.
I don't know what the hype level is of standing desks, so it's hard to evaluate if it's over or under.
I think
hyped.
there's so many people. There's like fitness influencers who think this is like life changing kind of stuff.
Do they think that, or are they just telling you?
There's a fair amount of sitting down will kill you on the internet, so I think I'm going to go with overhyped, despite my love for my standing desk, and I do believe it's a really good thing to have. I think it might be overhyped.
As someone with miserable posture, sitting bad.
Yeah.
Sitting,
Did you know that
sitting's
this,
bad?
This is a sit-stand desk? Did you know
Yeah.
that?
I didn't know that.
Well,
Yeah, but please don't do it because
Don't
it's
do
all
it.
wired
I don't.
up.
I
It
don't
will
think we wired
ruin-
it.
it
I don't
will
think we wired it. correctly to
Technically,
do that.
sitting down will kill you faster because you are closer to the center of the earth, which means that time moves faster.
Technically, sitting down will kill you because eventually you'll run out of food. And if you don't stand up, you can't get more.
That's why there's wheels on my chair.
Go full Wally.
Touche.
I don't think I under. I almost want to say height correctly. Heights.
Oh, you're using it on
This
the
is
sit
early.
stand
Fair
desk?
one.
Wow.
Okay.
They got 50 more questions, dude.
I'm gonna say underhyped. I don't think enough people are willing to pull the trigger on it, even though they are very useful.
If I told you the
respect it.
price tag of a sit stand,
That's the problem.
That's the problem,
But there's
yeah.
more there's a lot more options coming out. There's like the IKEA crank desk,
Yeah, I was
which is
just
way
gonna say
cheaper.
that, yeah.
They have some things that are desk toppers that you can
If you
split
owned a
up.
crank desk, would you ever do this
Yeah.
for 35 seconds to stand up for a little bit? I don't think
if
anyone
it's
would do
$400 less.
Think about the rings you'd be closing.
I was just gonna say,
it. I would just walk around at that point. I don't
cranking
think I
your
would
desk is
crank
gonna be
my desk.
worse than or better for you than standing at that point, right?
Yeah, we got to get into the level of friction of like making people stand up versus putting in the effort to
You know,
stand.
people used to have to crank their car windows.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Oh, wow,
but
yeah.
you know why we don't do that anymore? Because that's terrible.
No, dude, that was always fun.
I think my dad right now has a sort of a mechanism where there's a platform on his desk that extends up, so the desk stays. So you don't have to buy a $6,000 desk, but you can pop up like your laptop and your mouse
Usually
and
comes
keyboard.
forward a little bit.
Yeah, so you can stand, use it, put it down whenever. Appropriately hyped, or are you gonna
I went under.
under? Okay.
I like what Brandon does, where he has the tall desk that doesn't move, but he has a stool.
A stool. That's also
Because then he can
stand.
just stand up whenever he wants.
Wait, now he has both.
Really?
Now he has a sit stand desk that
Yeah.
stands most of the time with a stool seat.
Oh wow.
It's an interesting.
What's the point
scenario.
of that if his stool can't go down?
There is no point of it dropping down. I don't think his desk will ever drop down.
Oh.
He just wanted a bigger desk, I think.
Oh, okay.
Anyways, next
Okay.
question.
All right,
Sorry.
All right. This next one, you can either do the word itself or the concept of nightography.
Overhyped.
Override.
1,000%.
Overhyped.
Overhyped. Unanimous. Easy.
All right, then what about this one? Night mode.
The concept, I mean, night mode is a good feature, but is it hyped? The smartphone companies will try to hype it.
Exactly.
So they all have night mode at this point with various names like night sight or nightography or low light mode or whatever. What does Apple call theirs? It's just like long,
I think it's low light mode.
long exposure.
Oh,
low
night
light.
sight?
No,
that's
night sight's Pixel.
Pixel, yeah.
I think it's just night.
I think
mode.
they're useful.
Yeah.
And the fact that, you know what, I'm going to go, the fact that you can have a little tiny computer in your hands where you can hold something in place with optical image stabilization and it will take a bunch of exposures and compensate them all into one multi-frame image is underhyped.
Yeah.
I can agree with that because like it's something that's pretty spectacular, but now we're expecting it in literally every single frame.
Right.
Like we just
Standard.
expect it at this point now.
Standard. It's amazing.
I will say when the Pixel 2 or
That's
3,
the
one of the two.
The 2 had the
Was it the
legendary
2? The first night mode though, or
oh,
was that
night
the
mode?
3?
I don't remember night mode.
Night sight. Was that the 3?
Night sight took a little longer.
Or was it the 4? I don't know. When the Pixel first did it, the 3. I thought so. Yeah, the 3. It was like incredible. And then when the P30 came out and it could just completely see in the dark,
Yeah.
and everyone was like, "What is going on?"
Yeah, I remember doing some test shots. And I just like went in the robot room, closed all the doors and the lights and everything, shut the shades, and then took a picture of the robot. And then the photo was like, oh yeah, the lights are on. It's fine.
Yeah.
Like, we can see everything
With the P30.
Oh gee, yeah.
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 I was like in Morocco in a completely dark room in the shed.
Yeah.
And I couldn't see anything. And I took a photo.
The most David sentence.
That's so David.
I took a photo and it was like, there's literally no light in this room. I cannot see a single thing. And yet the phone just like sees everything. It was
Underrated.
crazy. I would say underrated.
Up next, Wi-Fi 6E.
So I was
Oh, sorry.
I was leaning towards overrated, but now that I think about it, it's really just a footnote at everyone's presentation. Like it's not really hyped. It just is everywhere, and you're like,
I would
It's a-
actually say that Wi-Fi 7 is a bigger jump than Wi-Fi 6 to 6E.
I haven't seen as much hype for it either.
About 7?
Yeah.
The cool thing about 7 is that it creates a dedicated smart home accessories channel that all of your smart home stuff attaches to, so that
That's
it doesn't
funny.
start doing that like mix between 5 gigahertz and 2.4 and messing everything up.
This is what happens every time. This is such a in the weeds thing, but like every time Eero updates their routers, they like add features to the old routers to build those features into older versions of Wi-Fi. So my older Eero router has a separate channel for IoT.
Oh.
And it's like a 2.4 gigahertz channel that you connect your doorbell and smart accessories to.
Yeah.
And then yeah, you hear like, oh yeah, Wi-Fi 7 is just going to have like that built in. It's like, okay, sure. I'm going with appropriately hyped.
6E?
Wi-Fi 6E is appropriately hyped.
So you've all used your appropriately hyped.
I have
Yeah.
not used my appropriately hyped.
You didn't
yet.
use it?
No.
I
I
he
thought you used it on
switched
standing
he switched it
desks.
to under.
no, I
okay,
went
you switched
under.
it. Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
I can't. 6E. It's like if you're min maxing, it's overhyped.
I'm gonna say overhyped for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. 7 is pretty dope though. I think 7's underhyped.
All right.
Just saying.
Next question. ChatGPT.
Wow.
Overhyped, underhyped,
Oh.
or perfectly hyped?
Wow.
I feel like you need to gauge the amount of hype that's behind it.
Very hyped.
It just made billion or
I'm gonna say
Yeah.
overhyped.
10 billion, right?
I'm gonna say overhyped because even though it is like an incredibly transformative technology, its limitations are being shown pretty hardcore now that people have used it a lot, and it still has really basic problems once you understand like how it's actually doing the inferences. Like it can't do math like at all.
You've sold me. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you were, if you
People
were
still talk about it every day.
right. If you would have said like AI, that would have been tougher. But
I was debating
ChatGPT
AI.
specifically as a sort of a figurehead for AI, like AI is clearly a very important thing for the future. But ChatGPT specifically is a little bit worse than people make it out to
Yeah,
be. So
yeah,
I'd say
yeah.
it's overhyped.
ChatGPT is getting all of the hype for AI.
Basically,
Therefore,
right.
It's a
ChatGPT is
proxy.
overhyped.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. What's the next one? Ellis is just staring longingly at me. He was like,
He says David ML.
Why don't we do?
That's what I've been saving my perfectly hyped for.
I appreciate that.
Let's do this one next. Super minimal desk setups.
Overhyped.
So overhyped.
Yeah.
Overhyped.
Yeah.
Good.
Yes.
Extremely overhyped.
I agree.
That's why I have my desk the way I have it.
Yeah, if you saw David and I's desk, if you saw David and I's desk,
It's like, that's why I never take anything off my desk. I think the super minimal ones are clearly form over function.
Yeah.
So yeah, overhyped.
Yeah.
All right. Next.
But you still got to close some tabs.
That's why I downloaded Arc.
David,
So,
we're here for you.
Thanks.
Stories.
Just in general.
Yeah, like Snapchat stories,
Bedtime?
Instagram stories, bedtime stories.
Telling you stories. I think the stories feature was at the time like the most transformative social media feature for like 3 to 4 years. Because everyone added it and everyone used it. It's the one. It's like the one feature that Facebook just blatantly stole that immediately everyone started using more than the main function of Instagram. So
I was gonna go with underhyped, but then you see that like, no, it is underhyped a little bit. It used to be overhyped when there was like YouTube stories and LinkedIn stories, and we're about to see like
Yeah.
Excel stories or something. But like
Slack stories.
at this point now, I think it's died down enough, and we don't realize just how ubiquitous stories actually are. There is basically no hype for stories, but it's kind of amazing. That it's like, yeah, that's a primary feed for a lot of people.
it's like
Yeah.
70% of my like
Diet
use
is Cholula.
It sounded so much like that. But like, yeah, most of my use in Instagram is just stories, and
Yeah.
I'll usually close it. So probably underhyped.
I'd say underhyped.
But I agree, there was an overhyped phase of
Yeah.
when like YouTube was trying to add it and LinkedIn was trying to add
It's
it. And
like-
it was everywhere.
It's like with Clubhouse. Like Clubhouse
Yeah.
was super overhyped, and then everyone just added a Clubhouse feature to their app.
yeah,
Yeah.
Up next, we have AirTags.
Underhyped.
that was a quick answer.
right now. I agree.
I think that AirTags are like the cheapest, most useful
Apple product.
Apple product. Yeah. Or just product category. Like I know that tiles existed. We made a whole video around this. But just the fact that every single Apple device is a beacon for finding your thing makes it like one of the most useful products you can possibly own, and it's $30.
Well, US. In the US.
Yeah, totally.
Totally underhyped in the US because there are just so many more beacons for it.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's so much better than Tile because of that.
When evaluating the level of hype, are you guys seeing all these stories about like this airline lost my luggage and then I just found it with an AirTag? It's like pretty constant,
But
which is a good thing, like a good level of hype for it, I think.
a lot of my normie friends see one of my AirTags and like, what's that? And I'm like, oh, it's an AirTag. And they're like, what's that? And the fact that they
Wow.
are normies, so they obviously know what most Apple stuff is, but they don't know what an AirTag is, makes me think that it's underhyped.
I feel like
yeah.
everyone who has an iPhone should have at least 2 AirTags. And that's not
Yeah.
true. I think that's like I don't have an iPhone, and I think that's a pretty I feel like that should
One for the.
It seems so
Where do you
easy
put the
and
two?
obvious. Keys, if you have
Keys.
keys, I guess, and
Car.
then like backpack or
Yeah, backpack,
your car.
bag.
Yeah, you could put it on your car so your car doesn't get stolen. I don't know. There's
I have one
a
on
lot of
every
things.
camera I own, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, your car will still get
Luggage.
stolen, but you'll know exactly where it is.
That could actually be very helpful though.
So I have a friend that put in his bike, and his bike got stolen, and he literally sent the police to the dude's home, and he had to give it back.
Nice. Underhyped.
Also, if hypothetically, if you have a device,
That's the name of the segment.
Hypothetically.
Hypothetically.
Hypothetically
There we go.
speaking.
there we go.
Oh, that's good.
That was the wrong sound.
Leave it.
Dang.
I like that. Okay.
All right, this is not a joke. Hypothetically, I keep being like, because I don't have any AirTags, but I am an Apple product user. I keep being like, oh yeah, I should get an AirTag so I can put it on my iPad.
Oh, yeah. It already has fine.
It is an AirTag.
Yeah.
All right. How are you guys feeling? You want to do one or two more of these?
I
do a
still
few
need
more.
to use
Yeah,
my
two more.
perfectly.
Yeah,
hyped.
until-
So
yeah.
now that I know there's
Let's
only
go
two
until
left.
Andrew uses his
You're
perfectly
too
hyped.
polemical.
Are you
Just
ready?
like-
Going.
Yeah.
Keep sailing.
All right. Surround sound.
Over.
Over.
Easy.
Keep going.
Moving right
dude,
along.
Overhyped, really?
Yeah,
for surround
we were
sound?
all kids when surround sound was being super hyped, and I even remember how annoyed I was at how much they were hyping it, even though I was a freaking child.
All you need is a good stereo mix.
Yeah.
That's it.
It doesn't.
That's all.
It's not a big deal.
That's crazy. Okay. Anyway,
So
next
two
question.
more. That didn't count.
Smart
A single
watches.
tier all the time.
Smart water.
Smart
watches.
watches, not smart water.
Smart water bottles.
Underhyped.
So smartwatches right now, I use my perfectly hyped, so I think I have to go with underhyped just because of how fast the Apple Watch became the most popular single watch on planet Earth. I don't think a lot of people know just how popular these watches are. And of course, every other company is trying to like replicate that success and make a really good competitor, and that's like getting hyped, but I can't say overhyped. I think it's underhyped a little bit.
I would also say probably underhyped because I don't see a ton of smartwatches in the wild all the time. Like I see a decent amount, but like not. I see a lot of analog watches still. I mean, I wear one, but like the price, like the price to value that you can get from a smartwatch is pretty insane. Like the amount of metrics and tracking you can do, it's pretty insane.
I would say I see them all the time, but I just like feel like I don't see people asking about them or talking about them as much. So like I feel like there isn't a lot of hype level there, so I think underhyped, but they seem insanely popular. There's so many good things about them.
Yeah.
It's the most popular watch on Earth.
Yeah.
I
Well,
do
you're talking
wanna
about
ask-
I mean all smartwatches, but
Yeah.
You watch nerds. Do you know, is the Seiko 5 the second most popular watch on Earth?
I don't think so, actually. It's very popular, but I don't think it's like the second most popular.
I think it's the Casio.
Yeah, it might be the Casio, World Timer or
calculator
something
watch.
like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. Under.
Under.
Next one. Roomba.
Roomba, the product,
The vacuum.
the company.
Yeah. I mean, or are you referring to like the
well, the
musical
company
style?
no.
No. I mean, well,
The company's iRobot. So Roomba is the
Okay.
That was the product.
fair.
Actually, the company is Amazon now.
Amazon bought iRobot.
Yeah.
Let's
They're
make
trying
it like
to, actually.
robot vacuum disambiguated.
Okay.
You know, like let's include the Samsung vacuums and you know,
So
all
robot
from
vacuums.
under.
robot vacuums.
Over or under hyped.
all underhyped. They're awesome.
I will say I was never into them. Like I was always like, why would you want that? And then my friends have a Samsung one that you can get an app on your phone and drive it around like a remote control car. And I was like, all right, now I want it. That's all I need.
Well, Astrobot's better for that.
But it doesn't clean things though.
It doesn't clean things. No, it's honestly like I love my Roomba. It's fantastic.
Yeah,
I also love being like, Claire, I'm gonna vacuum the living room, and then I just like open my phone and press the button in front of her, and then it's like,
Doing
all
the
right, done
chores.
with cleaning for
Play
today.
Valorant.
Yeah, play Valorant.
My floors are bowed about 17 degrees, and
Wow.
they kind of do this. And so I don't think a Roomba would work.
It's that boat.
Yeah,
I
it's
feel like a Roomba can still handle it.
I trip
Yeah, it'd have
just
to-
walking around in my apartment.
Yeah.
Oh,
I live in the oldest building in Greenpoint, so it's pretty bowed. in the basement, the cellar.
So you're going over
What's your address?
hype?
No, I'm saying I couldn't tell you because I don't really know.
It's kind of
You have to
Yeah.
have flat. You have to have flat floors to like really appreciate a robot vacuum.
I think there's a lot of things you have to really appreciate a robot vacuum. Like there's some people who would just not have any use for it, and then there's some people who are like, I have a kid, I have dog hair, I have like a flat
With dog hair,
makes
it's
a lot
so
of sense
nice.
for.
Because like I don't always feel like vacuuming, but if it can at least do like a quick
once
run
over?
with Mac just shedding like crazy, like
Have you seen
twice
them?
a week is so nice.
Robot mops.
Oh yeah,
Well, we had one in the studio for a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, in
I've
the
not-
concrete
those actually work
section.
pretty well.
Those I like that.
Yeah,
I'm leaning underhyped actually. Yeah,
Underhyped.
they're just kind of expensive though. You know,
They are.
Aren't they like
Which doesn't-
$450?
They're all
a lot of
over
them are
the
very
place.
expensive, and that might mean that there is less hype for them because people don't want to spend $400 on a vacuum. But they're pretty
I
solid.
finally bought a Dyson this weekend.
Love. Can we go
Nice.
next? Can we go Dyson next?
Yeah, let's
Just
do
wanna
it.
say-
My V10 Animal is an animal,
It
bro.
is $100 off at Costco right now.
Yeah,
that's
dude.
why I bought
worth
it. Yeah.
Worth it.
Just
Underhyped.
saying. Still $400, but
Which one do you have?
it was the V10 Animal.
Dude,
yeah.
and they all have awesome names. Like, I don't think this is one, but it'd be like the V16 Jackal.
Wait, was
Like,
it not called Animal just because it's good at animal hair? I thought it had like animal
It has a
attachment.
bigger
No,
tub.
because
No, it
all-
has an attachment.
I know, but all of them are like the Hellboy. Like, they, hold on. Dyson.
Yeah.
Fine.
And they're hyped, but I don't think they're overhyped.
No, they're
I
not.
might say Dysons are. Can I use
Yeah.
my perfectly hyped on one that you guys didn't even put? Because the Dyson might be perfectly hyped.
Yeah.
Sure.
I mean, they offered to do a sponsorship for us. We didn't take it, and then you just bought it anyways
I did.
because of how much.
And
you
then I
liked
went,
it.
oh, this is really great. The V15 Absolute.
Oh, yeah, I guess I was wrong. There's one called the Cyclone, but I assume they got crazier from there and they just don't.
The OmniGlide Plus.
Bummer. All right, edit that out. I guess it is called Animal because it cleans.
It has an animal attachment. It's like the S wedge animal attachment, which I don't understand why that is.
Guess I bought the wrong one because I don't
Get
have
out
any
of here
animals.
and
Well, now it
clean,
sounds
you
like you need
dumb
an animal. Time for a dog.
They will be perfectly hyped until they try to release that Dyson car, and then we'll have to reevaluate.
All right.
But I
Next
think-
question.
Yeah.
Portrait mode.
Oof,
Overhyped.
overhyped.
I would go almost useless at this point
You
with
know-
how big sensors are on smartphones.
You know why it's
Mo-
overhyped? Yeah, sorry.
I was just gonna say most photos at this point on the regular camera have depth of field,
Yeah.
and therefore have a better than the crappy portrait mode blur.
Yeah.
I'll agree.
Yeah, it was a feature that was developed to, for a particular moment in time, try to solve a problem that was only going to be a problem for a couple of years, and they spent every year up until it became obsolete trying to make it better, and they still never got it perfect.
Yeah.
I bet if we put a regular pixel photo in the blind smartphone test, it would have crushed everybody.
People
Because
would have thought it's portrait
people
mode.
would have thought it was portrait mode,
Yeah.
and then thought it was the best cutout out of all of them and the best fall off and
Yeah.
everything.
A lot of Zoomers will say like, "Oh, can you portrait mode that?" when they literally just mean like take a normal DSLR photo.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Boomer.
Yeah, like
All
they,
right.
yeah, like they don't realize that on actual cameras it just has depth of field. So they ask you to like
Oh,
use
yeah.
portrait mode.
They're just like bokeh is just portrait mode.
Yeah, yeah. Bokeh is just portrait
Wait,
mode
what's
to them.
bokeh?
Bokeh. It's
It's just portrait mode.
Cool. Ellis.
Appropriately.
I want to make my last one really spicy.
get some Cholula in here.
Yeah.
Underhyped.
15% of my diet is Cholula.
Honestly, I think it's overhyped.
Cholula?
Yeah, personally.
I think underhyped. I didn't experience Cholula.
Wait, is that
until
the
I
next one,
came here.
Cholula?
It is now.
Oh, okay.
Under.
Under.
I'd never had Cholula until I came to this office, and it's like changed my life.
There's a
So good.
Cholula bottle in every Qdoba.
What's a Qdoba?
I'm so proud of you for saying that.
Underhyped.
Like what is
Underhyped.
Qdoba?
I love being from California.
What is a what is a Qdoba?
It's not that popular here. It's just like Chipotle, but worse.
Really?
It's
Okay.
it's Chipotle, but the queso is orange.
Well, it also had queso before Chipotle had queso.
That's true.
And Chipotle's queso sucks.
Yeah.
Okay, so can we move on?
None of the Chipotle competitors will ever be as good as Chipotle because Chipotle is popular and therefore all of the stuff in the lineup will be fresher versus Pancheros, Moe's,
You can make
Qdoba,
the same argument about
Bubba
In and out.
Apple.
We're trying to see the connection here.
Think about it.
clear plastic on tech products.
What?
Like a clear.
Oh, you mean like ripping it off?
No.
Peeling.
Peeling it off?
Like both
pla-
classic tech products, such as the iMac G3,
Oh.
or contemporary tech products,
nothing
such as
ear one.
such as
Okay.
nothing.
I haven't. Oh,
So the
I
nothing
hate to
phone
say this.
is glass.
Overhyped
phone.
because it's run on pure nostalgia at this point.
Yeah.
And I think we all want to have the old Nintendo purple Game Boy on our new phone, but if it actually came out, you probably wouldn't buy that. Unless there's a product that you're okay with being nostalgic about.
The thing about nostalgia is that it only lasts until it's tacky. Like the 80s was like an incredible, like when Stranger Things came out, everyone was like, whoa, 80s. And like now it's starting to get to the point where everyone's like, I'm so freaking
It gets
tired of
played
this
out in
80s shit.
cycles. Yeah.
Yeah. Now 90s is what's coming back, even though I think it's even tackier. But
So I will say the Nothing phone is clear glass, and there isn't a lot of clear plastic in today's tech. I think it's mostly glass at this point.
the ear ones are plastic.
There's one device
Oh, interesting.
that
True.
I also think might have been one of the prettiest tech products of 2022, which was the Shargeek batteries
Oh, yeah.
that have those
That
big
is
clear things.
plastic as well.
And they're beautiful. They're really
Man,
beautifully
they're
designed.
swaying me. I was gonna go over with Andrew, but I love those Shargeek batteries.
Me
man.
too, right?
Damn.
Yeah, see?
And is that nostalgia, or is that just kind
No,
of
that's
like
not nostalgia. That's very
geeky,
different.
like
It's
see
just
through,
geeky.
like
Because it's like
cool
Star Trek, yeah.
designery thing. All right, I'm going under. I'm going under hype.
Underhyped?
I'll just
Yeah.
stay.
More transparent.
I'm going to say over because I will be correct in like 3 years.
As is the way
Great.
of things.
Playing
Great
the long
strategy.
game. Playing
Great
the long
strategy.
game.
All
This is
right,
the way.
last question.
Okay.
It's a big one.
A Weem boy.
MacBook Pros.
Underhyped.
Underhyped.
Underhyped?
I don't even use it, and I know how
Yeah,
incredible
you
the
know
Apple
about it.
Silicon stuff
Everyone
is.
knows about it.
Overhyped
Question mark?
because most people don't need it, but for the people who do need it, underhyped.
Never mind. You said MacBook Pros, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Overhyped. Just kidding.
Whoa.
MacBooks and like Apple Silicon MacBooks.
Oh, yeah.
Underhyped. MacBook Pro, overhyped.
Why the distinction?
Because I think Apple Silicon for just everyday laptop use and efficiency and power consumption is incredible, and literally anyone who wants a laptop should use that. And it can probably, as a non-pro, handle a lot of the stuff that people buying pro stuff.
Oh, so you're
need
on the
to
same
do.
page as-
Yeah. Sorry, I
The pros
was
are
wrong.
more than most people need.
exactly.
Yeah. But for the people who need them, really good.
I just desperately want people to start making ARM-based stuff and actually caring about it. That's not just Apple, because Apple is the only one.
It's coming.
Chicken and the egg.
Windows on ARM is still so bad. Yeah. You know, the Snap books are still so bad
You know, like the Surface X that came out that one time?
that they just gave up on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that was it. That was our hypothetically speaking
I love that name.
That's
segment.
a great title.
I like it.
Such a good
out to
idea. I'm
Hypothetical.
glad we have a title now. I think we got to bring it back now that we have a good name.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was it. A lot of fun, random stuff this week, along with the gadgets, which of course we could get into the weeds about them. That's why we have a podcast, is we talk for 30 minutes on why the HomePod 2 is slightly different from the first one. Either way, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. Catch you guys in the next one.
I think Marques forgot. Everyone forgot we had the listener probably forgot we still had trivia.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So the first question
Hello, Elise.
was, according to Apple, how many times per second does the HomePod Mini EQ itself in real time? Released in 2020 with the S5 chip.
You said per second?
Per second. How many times per second? Because it can do the whole computational audio thing where it listens to itself and adjusts the music and all that stuff in real time. How many times per second?
If it does it fast enough, does it start having quantum properties?
That was the perfect ending, so I don't know. Sure. What? Flip 'em, boys.
I said 2,000 times per second.
1,000.
10,000. Yeah.
Nice.
Andrew was closest, so I'll give him the point.
Oh,
What was it?
180 times per second. You guys way
That's it?
overthought it.
I
Yeah.
was gonna say 1,000 seems like a lot,
Yeah.
but
What'd you say?
What were the
1,000. I was the lowest.
What were the
Yeah.
AirPods 2? The Pro,
I have no
the Pro
idea.
2. Ellis would know this.
Those are 48,000 times a second.
See, this is what I'm saying. This is why I guess
That's a
10.
big range there.
181 is like, that ain't.
No. But that's not for the EQ. That's for adaptive transparency. So,
But it's still sampling sound.
I see. Yeah, I guess it just doesn't need to do EQ that many times per second. It's not like your room is rapidly changing 100 times per second. Of course, with adaptive transparency, it makes sense to be quick.
Yeah. Most of human hearing happens faster than 180 times a second.
I would hope so.
A typical LCD screen has a white backlight. What color is the backlight on a QLED display?
Watch this just be white.
It's not.
I know. Oh, thanks.
It's not a trick question.
I'm supposed to know this.
How many briefings have you sat through where they talk about this?
Exactly.
I watched like a 40-minute Lightness Tech Tips video on quantum dot LED displays, and I do not remember because I don't retain information.
Same.
Nice.
Flip them and read.
I don't know. I'm trying to think of the reason. I said yellow because I couldn't think fast enough.
I did write white, and then it said it's not white. So I erased it, and I wrote magenta.
I wrote blue. Let's go, baby! I apparently do
why
retain
is it-
information.
Why is it a blue backlight, David?
Because it gets filtered through quantum filters that
It's pretty cool. So when you start with a white light and you need to filter out different frequencies to get to red, green, blue, you have to filter out quite a lot of the light to get those primary colors, right? But when you start with a blue light,
you can filter to the other colors.
you can just slow that down to red, or to red and then green, or green. I forget the exact.
Green and red.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you lose way less light energy in
nice.
setting the color.
That's actually really cool.
Isn't that cool?
Why don't they just do that for everything?
Because so that's where the quantum properties of the actual dots come in. Because it's one thing to just filter out a bunch of wavelengths of light. It's another thing to like shift wavelengths of light.
Yeah, just slowing it down a little bit.
So update on the score. Marques with 6, Andrew with 4, David with 6.
Well, now I can finally outro the pod. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for rating us wherever you listen. We appreciate you.
Do you think
Catch
that
you
we're
guys.
rated?
I think we're appropriately rated.
Appropriately rated?
But for the purpose of this, I'll go underhyped.
Underhyped.
And let's fix that. Okay, well, see you guys in the next one. Peace.
Give us 5 stars.
Waveform is produced by Adam Molina and Ellis Rovin. We are partnered with Vox Media Podcast Network, and our intro outro music was created by Veins. So a little better.